Hello, hello. Welcome back to me, I guess. I really haven't made a video in a long time. I kind of just wanted to make an update video on sort of what's been going on with me and where I want the channel to go, which is a weird thing to say when I've made like 10 videos, but I really want to do things with it. So, yeah, um, it's been a while. So, haven't really made videos because I've been trying to graduate, which thankfully I have managed to do, which is good. Yeah, so I mean, I graduated from Oklahoma State University with a bachelor's of science in agriculture and environmental science. So I'm pretty sure I'm the only science YouTuber to have a degree in agriculture, which I think that is pretty cool. I'm gonna I'm gonna start walking around with like a cowboy hat on 24/7. I'm gonna be the cowboy science YouTuber or something like that. I think that'd be cool. But yeah, I graduated with that. An honors college degree from the honors college here at Oklahoma State, and then I also minored in chemistry and geology. So I'm happy that I graduated. Yeah, maybe if I know a couple people have asked me, but like maybe some other time I can talk all about that. I don't know if people are really interested in that, but if so, I guess I can do it. Um, what's next? There was no way. My brain is fried right now, so there was absolutely no way I was going to attempt to try to remember all of this stuff that I wanted to talk about. So bringing out the laptop. Maybe I feel like if I just start using the laptop all the time, I'm going to make better videos because my short term memory is terrible. I don't know what's happened to me, but I can't remember. I can't remember exactly. Just like this, like if I think of one thing, 5 seconds later, I've already forgotten it, and I don't know why that's the case, but it's the way it is. But yeah, like I said, these last couple semesters have been busy because I had to do thesis. Well, I also had to do a capstone project for my major to graduate, which went well. Finished that a couple weeks ago, and then I had to do an honors thesis for my honors project under my advisor, Dr. Ashley Burkett, who's been my advisor and foraminiferal research for quite some time. Actually, this work I've really mostly just been the thesis. I wrote the thesis in I think 2 days because I've mostly just been working on trying to write the paper. Um, the research is actually on describing a new genus and species, well, a new species and genus of foraminifera that live in the deep Pacific abyssal plain, so deep down, like 4,100 meters deep. So this has been my first author scientific paper. So that's been quite a journey writing it. The work has been done with some collaborators at Cal State Bakersfield and then also at the University of Geneva in Switzerland. So it's been cool. Maybe I feel when I think that when it comes out, I'll probably make a video about it. It might get submitted. Yeah, I'll try to make a video about it whenever it comes out, and I might just be ridiculous and like make a song because I don't think anyone's ever made a song about a species that like they described. So it's like their species. So that'll be cool because I'll have my own species. That's a cool thing, I think, to like have a species on your name. But yeah, I think I'll make a song about it because that would be funny. Yeah, and like a rap video because no one's done anything like that before. And it's time to change science. It's time to make science fun again. Um, but yeah, apart from that, I'm also writing another paper on a climate Excel model or an Excel climate model that I adapted from an honors project that I did a year ago now, right when COVID first hit. Um, that is essentially trying to, it's more of a climate education paper. It's working on trying to create an exercise or a group of exercises to teach high school and then early college students the practical aspects of modeling. And so using Excel, which doesn't have the same hills to climb that traditional coding does, which is, what's used for programming or what's used for climate modeling is programming, whether that be in Fortran or Python or whatever you program in. But the goal is to try to make a model that can be done by students in Excel to try to get the other side of climate modeling that I think a lot of people focus on the concepts, and there's sort of the question that I see amongst the public of like, okay, but how do you use a computer to make it figure that stuff out? Does it make sense, right? Like, how can you trust these computers? And so I guess this is my attempt at trying to help bridge that gap in like a pedagogical sense. Yeah, so that's something I'm trying to do. And then the last paper I'm working on right now, actively. Oh no. Well, another paper I'm working on is has nothing to do with anything that I do. It's on hydrocarbon remediation and karst environments. I probably won't make a video on that because I think I'm going to also make a video on the Excel climate model, but I'm not going to make a video on that because I'm not the first author of that paper, of the karst paper. I am for the climate model. And I don't want to just say I'm going to start making videos for every paper I'm a co-author on because that's going to get ridiculous at some point. But yeah, aside from that, I'm also working with a soil scientist, Dr. Andrea Gilling, here at Oklahoma State, and helping her with some projects. So that's something I'm doing as well before I leave Oklahoma State. Goodbye, Oklahoma. It's been a nice run. And then aside from that, the only other things I'm really doing right now is getting back on stage performing stand-up comedy, which is a lot of fun. I performed 4 times in the last 2 nights, so that's been really cool. And I'm glad that we can do that again. And maybe I'll put that on the channel. Probably not, because I don't think science people like comedy. You guys don't seem very fun. Too serious. Laughing is not your thing. But maybe prove me wrong, I guess. Tell me that you do want to hear a joke or two, and maybe I'll post a clip. But the comedy's been fun. It's actually been going pretty well. So yeah, aside from the most important thing in my life, which is my comedy career, I'll talk about graduate school, which I'm just going to start in the fall. I will be a graduate student at Caltech, or the California Institute of Technology, in the Geologic and Planetary Sciences division as a geobiology student. So that's really exciting. I'm excited to start my PhD program and, get started and get into the research of it. As far as Caltech has a different program, so I don't have a set advisor. Rather, you get accepted into the program. Maybe I'll bring someone on like Renee. Renee, I might bring you on to talk about Caltech, or someone who knows more than me, because I haven't actually been there. But you don't have a set program. You don't have a set advisor there. You come in and you have 2 projects in your first year, and then those develop from there as they do. But people who I've been talking with about working with is Dr. Victoria Orphan, Dr. John Grotzinger, and Dr. John Eiler. Dr. Orphan being a geobiologist in the traditional sense, Dr. Grotzinger being a sedimentologist, and then Dr. Eiler being an isotope geochemist. So yeah, I'm trying to look at projects that are aligned and thinking both on one hand about like biosignatures in the rock record, in geologic history, and then studying unique biological systems in extreme environments. Just the typical astrobiology stuff, which I guess is kind of an oxymoron because not many people study astrobiology. But I'll definitely make a video about that when I get it in set what I'm actually going to do as my project. But I don't really know. I don't want to say I have ideas and we've talked about some stuff, but I don't want to let the cat out the bag before I'm ready to let it out the bag. Don't put cats in bags. Aside from that, I'm also working on the Mars 2020 mission, which is really awesome. I wore the shirt today. See, proof, perseverance. This is the polo that they wore when all the cool people wore. I'm really lucky I get to be on the mission. But yeah, I work under Dr. Ken Farley. For me, I don't want to get myself in trouble with the media people. Mars media people don't get me in trouble right now. So I'm not going to talk about the mission very much. But I say personally, like the Sherlock instrument is really interesting to me. It looks for looks at organic molecules using Raman and luminescence spectroscopy. Again, I think later this year or later in the summer, I'll be at JPL working in person. So maybe I'll bother some people and to get them to actually talk about this stuff. Some smart people who actually know what they're talking about instead of me. But it does give me a really cool opportunity to think about astrobiology from a planetary missions perspective. So I've definitely been enjoying my job there. JPL, cool, thanks. Other than that, I'm actually going to be in Namibia in the field for 2 months in the upcoming, for all of June and July, basically, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to be working with, I'm going to be the field partner for one of Dr. Grotzinger's PhD students, Dustin Morris. And we're going to be thinking, his project is on, one of his projects is on the deglaciation processes of snowball Earth. And the Naukluft Mountains in Namibia are a great place to study that. So yeah, I'm going to be his field partner. So I guess I get to go to Namibia for 2 months, and I'm really excited about it. It's basically like a field mapping project. I'm definitely going to interview Dustin while we're out in Namibia. I think that'll be really cool, like a real long form interview. So I haven't even asked him about this, but it's on the internet now, Dustin. So you can't say no. But yeah, I'm actually really excited. I'm super pumped to go out there and be in the field and just experience Namibia. I'm also really excited because there is absolutely no, we're not going to have internet connection most of the time. So for 2 months, I'm going to have internet connection probably once a week. So that's really nice. You know, all the boomers will be like, you kids don't know how to unplug. Well, here we are. I'm unplugging. No internet. Get out into the wilderness. Grow a beard if I could. Come back a mountain man. So should be fun. I've like kind of have some like goals for myself as far as like what I want to do while I'm out there aside from the science. One, I really want to work on my meditation. I haven't meditated nearly as much as I should recently, and I want to really work on doing that a lot. I also want to exercise a lot while I'm out there. I just finished like being a NCAA athlete, and I don't know, I'm used to exercising, so I'm gonna try to figure out how to, like, I'll wake up before dawn and do some push-ups and sit-ups and run around, maybe get a jog in before we start mapping in the field for the day. That's my plan, and now I said it, so I have to hold myself to it. Good job, Josh. As well, my main extracurricular activity that I'm really excited about is I bought a whole bunch of books that I want to read, and guess I'll talk about them now. I'll probably like poof them up as I talk about them in the corner right here. The first is actually just like a guide to learning Igbo. I'm from Nigeria. I'm actually Igbo, and I don't know the language, and I've always wanted to learn it, and so I'm really excited. I'm also going to bring some like children's books, some Igbo children's books with me that I am going to use to get better at learning Igbo and really actually start that process because I've wanted to for a long time. The next book is The Dakoto by Miyamoto Musashi and The Hagakure by Yamamoto's, nope, not going to mess up his last name, Tsunatsimo. It's probably incorrect pronunciation in Japanese, but if someone is Japanese, tell me how to pronounce that correctly. But I've really always been interested in I have a long interest in the warrior Japanese class, and their history really enthralls me. I really love history in general, but history of Japanese history and Mongolian history are two things that have really interested me from when I was, I don't know, like 11 or 12. So, and I've never read these books. Don't know how, but these are sort of books. The book by Miyamoto Musashi is roughly translated The Way of Walking Alone, so it's essentially a book of precepts about just how to live life, which I think is really interesting, and I'm really interested to hear his perspective. And then the Hagakure is another book that's about the ideals of a samurai and how a samurai lives. So I'm really excited about those books. In addition, I'm really interested now in getting into martial arts. So that's another and just like really understanding and appreciating and learning from these people. So I'm really excited to read both of those books. Speaking of books that are not from the West, The Master and the Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov, which is he's a Russian author, and I'm really interested in this book because I've always been interested in history, and like I said earlier, and another piece of history that I've really been interested in, and government as well, and like human nature. So I think I read the Communist Manifesto when I was 12 or 13. I was terrible at school, by the way. I don't want to make it seem like I'm very smart. I wasn't great at school at all. I was a pretty average student, but I was interested in some random crazy stuff. But I really liked the communist. I read the Communist Manifesto then because I was like, being a kid in the U.S., I'm like, what's the complete alternative, right? Like what, you want to learn. They're like, they don't teach you it in school. It's edgy and it's interesting. And it's it was definitely edgy at the time. And it's also just interesting in general, like philosophically and just about human nature, I guess. I guess in a more broad sense than even like the ideals of government, of like capitalism versus communism, just like thinking about human nature in general. So The Master and the Margarita, completely let go of the book, was written during the Soviet Union, particularly under Stalin's reign, which was a very long time, but it was written during that time. And I heard, interestingly, Lex Friedman, who has an amazing podcast that I really enjoy, was talking about this book in particular on one of his episodes, and how it like provided real insight to Russian culture and Russian history. And so I really wanted to check the book out for myself. Obviously, I can't read it in Russian because I don't know Russian, but English translation will have to do for me. Maybe I'll get a Russian to... Nope, can't. That's the whole thing about translations. And as well, is reading, I guess my fascination with Russian history is sort of like a personal ode as well to Conor Oberst, who has one of my favorite albums ever, Ruminations. And there's a song on there called A Little Uncanny, and in reference to former U.S. President Ronald Reagan. He says, "It's a little uncanny what he managed to do, got me to read those Russian authors through and through," which I guess is sort of a statement on capitalism or at least its function in the United States. I feel like the word capitalism has really, capitalism and communism have really polarized. They're really polarizable words, and it's very interesting. I guess maybe it's more of a comment on capitalism as it's gone out in America rather than capitalism in the strictest ideological sense. But I guess maybe since life is messy, is there any point in looking at the sterile ideological nature of governments? I don't know. I'm thinking this through as I'm talking right now. So I'll get back to you on that. Another book that I'm really excited to read is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl is a neurologist and psychiatrist who also survived the Holocaust. And the book is sort of his revelations, like both philosophical and psychological, from living through the Holocaust, about not just about himself, but also with the other men in the camp with him, in the concentration camp, and about how human psychology seems to envelop, or how it seems to evolve in times of like serious psychological stress. So I'm really interested to read this book. I've wanted to read this book for a long time, actually. And then another book that I can't believe I've never read is The Fall by Albert Camus. Albert Camus is literally my favorite philosopher ever. So I don't know how I've never read this book. It's crazy that I haven't, but I fully intend to read the book, and I'm really excited. If you don't know who Albert Camus is, look him up. He is very interesting, and to me, a really personally a philosopher who's had a big impact on my own life, as someone who's been very existential from probably way too young of an age. But Another interesting thing, I guess, to say about the internet is I've listened to many parts of this book without, or much of Albert Camus' writings without actually reading them myself or listening to people talk about them. So I actually want to read all of his stuff for myself now. So I'm excited to read this book. Another philosophical book is The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. And Franz Kafka is a Bohemian individual. So Bohemia being Czechoslovakia, I believe, Czechoslovakian area, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, around Russian rule, or not Russian, German rule. So this book, I believe my desire to read this book either was started by Sisyphus 55, which is an amazing YouTube channel that talks about philosophy. Either he mentioned the book itself, or one of his videos got me on a rabbit trail that got me to this book and made me interested in it. Honestly, the book's the book's actual plot is too good for me to ruin by attempting to explain it here. And obviously, I don't know the plot of it entirely because I haven't read it, but just the synopsis of itself would be hilarious. I'm envisioning people looking it up right now. So have at it. Pause this video and look up the plot of The Metamorphosis. Another book that I'm really excited to read is The Divine Comedy by Dante. Dante was an Italian poet. So it's a narrative Italian poem. So it's long, it's a book, but it's a poem. And it was written in the early 1300s. And I got interested in this book because I've been currently reading The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. Almost done with that book. It's really good, actually. I'm just been very busy, and I was looking up Italian authors and Italian books to read, and The Divine Comedy came up, and I love comedy, and the book is about hell and purgatory. So I'm interested in the book. Another book that is a recommendation from one of my best friends, shout out to you, Ale, is A Long Way Home by Memoirs of a Boy Soldier by Ishmael Bea. And this book is probably going to be really difficult to read. It's about a child soldier. So that sounds really depressing, but maybe it'll be sobering in some way while I'm sitting out in the wilderness. And then the last book is On Being Human as Praxis by Sylvia Wynter. Sylvia Wynter is a Jamaican writer, philosopher, and scholar. She is well known for a lot of her anti-colonial writings. And this book is no different. I've never read any of her work, so I'm excited to read this book. I'm interested, I think it's also going to be, definitely not my typical reading, and I'm excited to read it and let it push me mentally and see what she has to say. But the book is basically about some of her revelations and ideas on how race, location, and time, and like how circumstances affect what it means to be a human, And that's, I don't know, it sounds quite heavy and interesting and deep. So I'm excited to read that book. And that's the last book. I say that's the last book. That was like 9 books. So who knows if I'm going to be able to read all of them. I want to read all of them, and I'm going to try my best. Hopefully I can even fit them in my suitcase without being overweight, while also bringing a tent and all the other things that I'm going to need to camp out in the middle of nowhere for 2 months. So we'll see about that. But that's all I really have for this video. If you have any ideas or thoughts for me for new videos, please tell me them in the comments or on Twitter, which I don't really go on very often. And I might be in the middle of nowhere when you're watching this video. But, do that. Well, anyway, keep it loopy. Peace.